Today on Learn Me Something
Spontaneous combustion
versus
The capture of Guam.
I saw in the news this week that some explorers and researchers have found the sunken ship of Shackleton.
Yeah.
So we talked about it in episode 22, I believe. He was the Antarctic explorer. And
Very famous.
him and his crew got basically ice locked. And their ship eventually, over the course of months, fell through the ice.
Yeah.
And they all survived after like 2 years of living there. But they found it. And
That's crazy.
They said it was the best preserved wooden shipwreck, I think, that has ever been found.
I saw a picture of it
pretty
because
cool.
you posted it on our Instagram.
Yeah, they.
But it's very cool looking.
There's like starfish and like algae growing on it.
Yeah.
and-
I saw it and I got chills. I was
Really?
like, whoa, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and there's nobody on there.
And that is now the second historical-ish event that we've talked about that has resolved since us talking about it.
Yeah, the first one being the treasure of Forest Fen.
Uh-huh.
Because somebody found that a couple weeks.
Like weeks after.
After we talked about it. So
Which
that
is,
was
that one still kind of blows my mind.
Yeah. That was our first episode, wasn't it?
I think so.
First or second?
Our
Yeah.
first official, the first one we posted, not our
Sure,
practice
sure,
runs.
yeah. So anyway, that's kind of cool. It's another thing that hopefully, if you listen to this podcast, you knew some history when you were looking at the news.
Yeah,
You knew what was going on a little bit.
I hope we have more of those. I know about that thing.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. I think we're, at least I'm getting there from doing all the research, which is fun. But last episode I lost.
Yeah,
The,
you did.
If you're new here, we each present a topic, and we have the listeners vote who wins and who loses. I lost. I didn't quite have a good enough topic,
Yeah.
I guess.
You guess not.
Talking about self-surgery. So the punishment for this episode is I have to destroy one of my favorite shirts. So this shirt I'm wearing, you've seen me wear it a lot.
Yeah, all
This
the
is
time.
This is it's just a black t-shirt, very simple.
That kind of makes me sad.
But the logo is this mummy. It's a shirt from this design studio called Invisible Creature.
Uh-huh.
Shout out Don and Ryan Clark, who don't listen to this.
Homeboys, Don and Ryan.
But they, I just like a lot of their work, and it's just kind of a cool shirt. So I'm just gonna. I've always wanted to try this, like the
To
thing
see if
where
you can tear
rip
it off.
Okay, I'm gonna try ripping it.
Yes, do it. Yes.
Oh, that was way easy.
You
Oh
just,
yeah,
You just looked like a man.
I feel like a man. Okay, the thing is now, I need a new shirt.
Oh, if only we had some good new shirt content for you to put on.
Boom! Check this out.
Wow. Okay, that looks pretty sweet.
Check that out on the video. Oh yeah, new LMS, new Learn Me Something shirt. Boom!
That is awesome. I too am wearing one.
You got that Learn Me Something
Learn
University
me
hoodie
something-
on?
Yeah, it looks like a college university sweatshirt.
It looks good.
I'm a big fan. Wore it to the gym today. Got some looks. So
Oh, nice.
I
Spreading
do
the
not
word.
think it was because of my muscles. Mostly because I was wearing this huge sweatshirt to the gym.
Nice. It looks. I like that one a lot.
Yeah.
So they're out. They're
we've
linked
got-
below.
Yeah, we've got a lot of them. All Josiah designed.
Yep. This one that I'm wearing, if you're not watching, is it's got two little boxing gloves on the front, and on the
Yep.
back it says "World's First Competitive Podcast," and it has a
Yep.
picture of a gigantic version of Caleb and I boxing.
Like totally jacked.
Yeah, like it's
Fighting.
probably 3 times bigger than we'll ever get in our dreams.
I'm very excited. I've seen the collection that Josiah's been working on, and I made a purchase of the collection, and there's lots of really fun ones. There's that one,
Got
the
another
boxing one.
here. This is a Learn Me Something National Park.
Yep.
It's got a little deer, a little mountain,
It's in
drink
classic
from a
National
stream.
Park green.
some olive green.
Yep.
It's nice, good quality shirts.
Looks
too.
good. Yeah, there's a
cozy.
lot of them are comfort colors.
Yeah, there's a couple
Which are
comfort
high-end.
colors. Some of them are not in stock yet, so you'll just have to keep an eye on those.
We've sold out already because
know
of
it.
our t-shirt designer
Because
company.
of the people that make it sell out before they can print ours.
Yeah.
But if you want that one,
Yeah,
an eye on it.
everything will be linked in the show notes to our merchant page. What would you call it? Just like our the
our little
link
shop.
where you look at our shirts and buy them.
Yeah.
And we've migrated to a new site. We had merch on a different site, but we like this site a lot better. It's a lot cleaner looking. And then you can also find it on our Instagram or all of our social media at Learn Podcast.
Yes.
So you should check those out. We're going to be repping those. Well, we're repping them tonight, and we're going to be repping them at another fun thing.
Yeah.
Decide you want to tell them to break the big news.
Yeah. Big news number 2. So this is technically episode 40, the final episode of season 2.
Yep.
However,
But
we're going to do a bonus episode 21, a season 2 episode 21.
the grand finale, the grand season finale.
Yes. In a couple weeks. And we're going to do a live episode. So
Yep.
if you are in Kalispell, Montana, and you
Yep.
want to come watch it, then let us know. We'll give you the deets.
Uh-huh.
And it'll be a fun time.
Our
And we'll record that and put that up too.
Yeah, our first live episode.
Yeah.
First.
Well,
we had
did-
one.
We did one where a few of your wife and some of our friends sat on the couch.
Like 2 other people just kind of watched us. But this one's an
fun, too.
event, and it'll be fun. And if you're in the area, you're going to want to come out. We've got some fun things in store.
Yeah.
And we've got potentially some things that some of you might get to have.
Maybe
and
some
keep.
giveaway, maybe.
Something that might have to do with a thing we just recently talked about.
Big news number 1. But, yeah, so if you know us, message us. We'll get you the deets. If you don't know us, find us on social media, probably Instagram.
Do we want to tell them the date and time just to put it on their calendar?
I don't know. I think it's the 27th.
Is it the 27th?
The 27th at 7 p.m.
Oh.
You know what? Just to be sure, in case things change, message us.
Yeah.
And we will let you know.
We will have it planned. We will have an actual plan
Yeah,
for
it'll
it.
be really fun, though.
Oh, yeah. I did put that on my calendar as that day.
Okay.
All right, well, that's that day.
Okay, live pod
27th.
coming at you.
Keep your ears peeled.
Peel your ears.
Um,
Get ready.
It's going to be a lot of fun. Hey, you ripped your shirt. That was pretty cool.
I feel like a man.
Yeah.
I feel like a lumberjack.
This
This is
is-
so easy.
This is the second one of our recent episodes where you've been shirtless on the podcast.
Second in a row.
We should make it a thing.
Okay. I got to figure out how to take my shirt off every episode. I wonder if because this is old, it's probably 3 years old. That
We ripped easier.
Yeah.
I would say you could try it again.
No, I don't
but
want to rip this
that's
one.
brand new.
I can't rip this one.
That merch is a hot commodity right now. Josiah's repping a baseball 3/4 sleeve tee. I've got a full sweatshirt. We also have t-shirt options and long sleeve tee options.
That white hoodie looks pretty sick.
Yeah, I've been wearing it probably more than I should, but it's very comfortable.
Okay, you got to choose who goes first this week.
Yeah, which
you
is
got?
fun. I did not realize that I won. I just told.
I got here and he's like, who won?
Yeah, the voting closes, and if I don't check at a certain time, then I don't get to see who won, and I totally forgot to check this time. So I was like, well, I might just be ripping one today, but I didn't lose. I won.
Thank goodness for you.
How are you feeling about your topic? Are you confident?
Yeah.
Trying to decide whether or not I should go first.
I'm gonna win either way. It doesn't really matter.
Are you? Did I go first last time? Let's do the opposite of what we did last time.
I think you did.
Yes, I did. I remember because it's something I
that's
have in
what
my
happened.
memory. Yeah.
That's what happened. That's
Okay,
why you remember it.
You go first.
Okay. I got a story for you.
Oh, good.
1885.
Mm-hmm.
This woman named Matilda Rooney bursts into flames.
What?
She was incinerated, and it looked like it happened from the inside out. But by the time the fire died, the only thing that was left were her feet.
I'm 95% sure this was an episode of Monk.
True story. No, I mean, maybe it is.
Is this a true crime episode?
It could be. No, it
Okay.
could be an episode of Monk. Her husband was in the other room. He suffocated to death from the fumes.
This is a really fun topic you have.
Yeah, I'm jumping right. Oh yeah. Also,
Quick disclaimer: extremely violent.
a little bit gross. Yeah, I didn't. There's no lead up to this, was there? So
First girl burned to death.
burned to death immediately. So upon investigation, there's no source of ignition found anywhere, and the flames did not spread throughout the rest of the house.
Totally
So
a
it's very
true crime.
localized around this woman.
Okay.
So her cause of death was marked as SHC, or spontaneous human combustion,
Nice.
and that's what I'll be talking about today.
Spontaneous.
More generally, spontaneous combustion.
Do you remember Fringe?
Yeah.
The TV show about abnormal events, and it
Was there an episode about that?
I don't know. Probably.
Probably.
That just is that. That's what this makes me think of.
Today I'm talking about the show Fringe.
Okay.
The show Fringe.
Here's the plot.
So anyway, I realize this is kind of a similar theme of gross medical. Gross
Twice
medical
in a row.
theme twice in a row, similar to last
Two
week.
episodes shirtless, 2 episodes gross medical.
I better keep it going.
It's a trend.
You better come to the live event if you want to see shirtless Josiah talk about a gross medical topic. Okay, so people have known about the idea of spontaneous combustion for quite a while.
It's
and
actually a thing
there's been reports on it for the last few hundred years.
because of an excess of iron. That's how they would explain things in Fringe.
Oh,
I bet.
it looks like they had a little bit too much.
Weird. They had 400% the zinc they should have. And it was because of a parallel universe.
Oh, and the zinc combines with the lipids to
The amino acids.
they form a bond, and once that happens, boom,
Try confusible combustion.
it happens instantly. That's like the lady on the keyboard talking as she's googling things. Or
We have to get to the man in charge. This is not probably very funny to anyone who hasn't watched that
I
show.
have not seen it in years, so I don't know.
Apply it to any true crime TV show. We'll say
Yeah.
it's NCIS.
There you
That's a
go.
much more watched show.
Okay. So it's been reported on for the last couple hundred years, and most of the reports happened in the 1800s. But since then, people are kind of skeptical that there's actually some kind of internal combustion that actually happens inside of you
This is a weird topic.
that
where I don't-
causes someone to explode.
Wow. I don't know if it's okay for me to laugh. If it's too dark. But all right, can you just continue?
Dude,
and
I'm
I
just
will-
gonna keep talking, and you do what you
What I-
think feels best.
Okay. I will not be
Originally, okay. Originally, people thought it had something to do with alcohol being a fuel source.
laughing. Okay. Good
So
guess.
since it's so flammable, people thought maybe if somebody drinks a lot and there's a lot sloshing around in their stomach,
Spark.
maybe there's something that sparks in your stomach. Maybe you
it
touch a doorknob after rubbing your feet on the carpet.
Oh yeah, there you go. Static friction.
That doesn't seem
Electricity.
Electric friction. Tricity, I think is what they call it.
Yeah, that's what it is.
When the lipids and the amino acids touch the zinc and the iron. So that doesn't seem to be the case with the alcohol.
Okay. Good guess.
The most common theory at this point is called the wick theory, which is basically where your body acts as a candle. Your clothes are the wick, and then your fat is the wax.
I
This is
do
very
not-
dark, isn't it?
Well, I think I'm realizing I don't know exactly how candles work now. Don't you still need something to light it on fire?
Sure, but that's the third part of it, I guess.
So the combustion is whatever part 3 is, and it continuing to be on fire is the candle effect of having.
Right. So whatever the source of ignition gets on the clothes,
Yep.
and what keeps it burning is a fat.
Okay, I'm willing to accept that.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So once it's usually like a cigarette or a match or a spark is what people typically say.
Got it.
So once that catches, in some cases. So no one's been able to replicate it, spontaneous human combustion, obviously because
Probably is a good thing.
right. I mean, like in the lab,
Right.
like
right,
grabbing
right.
some kind of pig tissue.
Yep. Haven't been able to do it, huh?
No, in fact, one scientist named Brian J. Ford was doing some testing. He marinated, this is in his own paper, marinated pork abdominal tissue in ethanol for a week.
Wow.
So basically, if you're if you're just bathing in alcohol for a week straight, and you're just drinking it, and it's like
Yep.
your insides are completely soaked. He did that, and then he wrapped it in alcohol-soaked gauze,
Okay.
but he couldn't get it to burn and replicate these reports of these spontaneous human combustion.
Interesting. That does not seem remotely close to what would cause it in real life. Like, as far as running a scientific experiment,
Oh, let's soak this tissue in alcohol, and then soak some
Wrap
gauze
it.
in alcohol.
wrap the gauze around the alcohol-soaked.
Light on fire.
Yeah. It does not seem like a
Like
scientifically
people don't typically do
sound-
that to themselves.
I have never.
Okay.
Have you?
No, but I've also never spontaneously combusted.
That's true. Two things we
So-
have in common.
So maybe people that do that do it. But he did realize that when someone is in a state of ketosis,
Uh-huh.
their body produces chemicals that can form acetone, which is very flammable.
Yep.
And I'm
I've
not
heard of
going to
that.
pretend to know how ketosis works.
Okay.
Basically, I think what it is when your body doesn't have enough carbs to burn, so it goes to the fat.
Okay.
This guy in his paper, he was like, this solid paragraph that I understood 0 words from.
So what I'm taking from this is if you're on a fat loss regimen, diet, if you will, program, be very cautious around sparks and open flame.
What's it worth, basically?
Yeah, exactly. Do you want the fat to come off if it means you might catch on fire?
So he realized that, and he instead of marinating the pork tissue in ethanol, which is kind of, as far as I know, a similar. It's in the same family as alcohol.
Uh-huh.
He did it in acetone, and then he made creepy little meat puppet dolls.
They have to look like people.
Yeah, he did, and he made clothes for him, and he said he sat him in a chair, because that's typically when it happens.
Oh, I've had a nightmare exactly about that tonight.
And he lit him on fire, and it was a similar thing where it was burned to ashes except for the limbs.
Okay.
In a lot of these stories, the only thing that's left is people's feet.
Interesting.
And legs.
Because no fat,
Right, less fat.
less fat.
So he thinks this is what the issue is, or the cause of it is.
Uh-huh.
And obviously, it's just a test, like pork tissue soaked in acetone and lit on fire.
Will it burn?
It's not something that probably is going to happen to most people.
Yeah.
So it's not something you can really test. So it's very rare. There's only been between 120 and 150 cases reported in the last
Holy cow.
2,000 years.
Still, that's
And I looked it up, and there was some people are saying there's been 40 to 60 billion people alive in the last 2,000 years.
uh-huh.
So it's pretty rare.
Yeah.
Might
Yeah.
not even be a thing.
But there's some evidence out there.
But one guy thinks could happen that way. And he said that acetone is produced more in diabetic people as well. And one of the guys that whose cause of death was marked as spontaneous human combustion in 2010, the most
Yeah.
recent one as far as I know, he was diabetic.
Interesting.
Yes.
What if
But he also was found close to the fireplace.
that guy?
So that might have done it. That was the ignition source was from like an ember.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's horrible.
isn't that
Can
crazy?
you imagine the shock of
But in his case too, the house survived, and just the floor beneath him and above him was burned.
that's crazy.
And apparently this happens very quickly too, in a lot of reported cases.
All I'm picturing is here's another reference to a piece of entertainment. Lord of the Rings, when the
Oh.
crazy king guy catches on fire.
Yep.
And he's sprinting.
Is that Elrond?
I don't know.
L. Ron Hubbard, I think, is actually the Scientology guy.
Then
It's
it's him.
L. Ron Hubbard I think that was him in Lord of the Rings. Lord Elrond? Isn't that a Lord of the Rings guy?
That sounds really right, but I feel like that's the elf
Oh, you're
king
right. You're right.
guy. We're gonna get mocked
Elfron. Oh, jeez.
for as nerdy as we are.
I'm sorry.
Oh, wait. Okay, here's a hilarious connection. I'm just remembering that the guy who played this character in Lord of the Rings is
Uh-huh.
the main character on Fringe.
No.
It's the same actor.
No.
Crazy King guy. Do
Look
you
it
remember?
up. Look it up.
Okay, I'm looking it up right now.
What's his name?
This is
I need proof.
a weird. I'm just gonna look up Lord of the Ring King burns to death.
Okay, he's the guy. Okay, if you're not interested in this, this is so boring, but it doesn't matter. It's my podcast.
We're being deal with it. His name is Denethor,
Denethor.
apparently.
Okay, he's kind of a fringe character anyway. Other
Denethor.
connection there.
Let me look up Denethor actor. Here we go. Getting close. Yeah,
What are the
same guy.
odds?
His name is John Noble. That is
No
a
way.
super weird coincidence of this episode.
Is he the main detective in that show?
In Fringe?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. Yeah, he's the crazy old man that
What else is he in? We got to make another reference throughout this episode.
Okay.
To John Noble.
You know what?
You just pepper one in whenever you find it.
Okay.
And I'll see if I can figure it out which reference it is. Which you're making a John Noble reference.
Here's for your next John Noble reference. I'm looking at all the movies he's been in, and
Is Lord of the Rings and Fringe?
he's been in a whole lot of stuff, but I have not heard of them. So, oh wait, he was in. Hold on. Okay, Josiah, if you think our listeners can handle one more nerdy rabbit trail,
Yeah.
he was in Stargate SG-1. Remember Stargate?
Okay. He was. Oh, I watched the entire show. I think it was 10 seasons. I watched it all.
SG-1, Atlantis,
Watch that all.
Continuum.
Honestly, I need to watch Atlantis again. Big fan. We've talked about that on this podcast as well. I know we have.
Yeah, for sure. We're nerdy enough.
Was he? He was a doctor or something, a scientist guy, human.
I'm looking for it. I'm having a hard time.
Okay, I'm gonna try and work in a SG-1 reference.
Yeah, please do.
So, all that to say, you don't have to worry about spontaneously combusting if you're a human. If you're a pistachio, however, you might have something to worry about.
Oh
So
no.
pistachios also can spontaneously combust. So the largest manufacturer of pistachios is in Iran. And so
The more you know.
they take the soft outer hull off the tree. So
Uh-huh.
there's a fruit, which makes pistachios a seed rather than a nut.
The second fruit that I didn't know was a fruit that we've talked about.
Yeah. So the outer part, birds eat it. Humans don't eat it. But they take that off, and then there's the shell with the pit inside that we know and love so
Yeah.
dearly.
So dearly.
And so once
Huge
they
pistachio guy, huh?
once they go through the whole process of salting it and cracking them, they dry it for a couple days out in the sun. Because if there's too much moisture in it,
The
as
acetone.
weird as this sounds, then there's more of a chance that it'll combust.
What? Do you know why? Do you know what's up with that moisture?
So here's what's up with that moisture.
Hey Josiah, what's up with that moisture?
So it's a process called self-heating. So it's helped along by three things in this case. High stack pressures,
Okay.
this was I found in this German manual for transporting pistachios. Which thankfully was in English. High oil content, because that's
Okay.
a little bit more, has more of a chance to combust.
Yeah.
And then moisture, which I mentioned before. So, also if they're stored with something like a fibrous cloth, they're more likely to combust.
Right. Makes sense.
But basically, here's the process. First, there's an exothermic reaction.
Okay.
Naturally. From some process that happens with the bacteria. And if the temperature increases, the process can be accelerated.
Okay. Interesting.
And that is called thermal runaway.
We're getting pretty scientific today.
I don't know what I'm talking about. This is just what happens.
You don't know much about thermal runways, huh?
So first you got your exothermic reaction, and then as things get hotter, it's kind of like a catalyst, and things kind of get hotter and hotter,
Okay.
potentially.
They run the runway to fire.
Yep. And then if the temperature gets hot enough, it'll hit the kindling point or the auto ignition point,
Oh, no.
which is where it'll...
No. That's
my word of the podcast.
That's
and that's when fire happens, if there's enough oxygen for the fire to burn.
Yeah.
So you kind of need, if there's enough oxygen, and the moisture, I was reading about the moisture, I didn't completely understand it, but it depends on... some stuff absorbs moisture and bacterial things, chemical things happen.
Chemicals, man.
And
Chain
if
reactions.
you can get the right ingredients for a foom recipe. And same thing can happen with sunflower seeds, peanuts, walnuts, cashews, and Brazil nuts.
Oh, wow. There's a
Under the right
large
conditions.
selection of things that can combust.
I've got, trust me, I've got things. And so that's just in the nut family. The next thing that can spontaneously combust is hay. Have you heard about this?
The hay family? No.
Just like a pile of hay or hay bale. So this is actually, this is like if you're storing hay.
Uh-huh.
This is not, I don't want to say it's fairly common, but it's not super uncommon.
It's something you have to keep track of.
Right. I've actually talked with somebody about this.
Interesting.
So it's the most widely studied material that spontaneously combusts.
Mm-hmm.
So if you don't dry it properly, it'll catch on fire.
That's
so weird to
That
me.
is very weird.
It seems completely backwards.
People who understand chemical reactions deserve raises.
They deserve a raise.
They probably
Did
actually...
you say braces?
They deserve braces.
Free braces.
They deserve free dental care for life.
You shouldn't have to pay for braces if you understand chemical reactions, I think. Put that on a shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
If I've got time, I could do it.
Yeah. It is not too late. Load it up.
Just like a 20 words on the front of your shirt.
I would probably buy it.
So it's essentially similar to the nuts, but there's a bacterial and then chemical reaction that can happen that can create just the right ingredients for an exploding pile of hay. Another list of items that can spontaneously combust.
Next family.
Manure,
Uh-huh.
which would not be a good time.
It would be scary.
Imagine that gets going. Everyone's going to know about it.
Imagine you're just standing next to it when it happens.
Just a little flame comes through the top. Like,
hey, guys. You're
this poo
not
just
gonna
caught on
believe
fire. I did not do it.
I promise I did not set this poop on fire.
And
Mom, I'm sorry I said poop.
you got manure, coal, cloth soaked in flaxseed oil,
Well, naturally.
which is also linseed oil. I learned. Just a fun fact for you.
You're peppering in fun facts.
Lots of stuff for you
Good.
today.
I love it.
So that's
I love it.
sometimes woodworkers, if they have like a oil soaked cloth, a couple of those in a pile, those can.
Yeah.
And nitrate film has also been known to cause quite a bit of damage as well.
I don't have to tell me twice.
So many silent films have been lost because of spontaneous combustion.
Wow, that's interesting.
So there's one fire in 1914 in New Jersey where millions of feet of film were destroyed.
Holy
This is in the
cow.
silent film days. So one just caught fire. The rest of it is flammable, so
Oh
that
my
it all
goodness.
goes. The theater,
Hope they backed it up to the cloud first.
you'd think they'd try. So back in those early days, lots of theaters
I suffered.
suffered damage
That's very interesting.
from fires.
Can you imagine putting your heart and soul into making a film? Like, that was your dream, and you
just-
make it, and you just watch it catch on fire.
So there's a lot of films that are lost because of that, because
Wow.
it just caught on fire.
That's pretty crazy.
I think that, like, I think I'm putting myself in the shoes of the creator. If my work is so bad, is my movie so bad
You're right.
that it destroys itself? And so, in response to all these fires, theaters began fireproofing their theaters, like
Wow.
the rooms that the movies were shown in,
That's crazy.
with asbestos to
Oh,
fireproof it.
perfect. I love the early 1900s.
So we know now that was not a super great idea. It solved one problem, but
created
another.
a couple others.
So it was so well known at this point that this nitrate film was dangerous that the London Underground, like their subway system, banned nitrate film from being transported in their
no films down
cars.
there.
Yeah,
Not catching our railway on fire.
Because a lot of people died from a result of nitrate fires. I was reading at least 200 people that I could find. Pretty crazy. Just from one little movie caught on fire.
That's crazy.
And so they pretty much stopped using nitrate film by the 30s and switched to cellulose, which I guess is more plasticky. It doesn't catch on fire.
Quality decreases, I bet.
It's just, there's nothing like the good old nitrate
Nitrate,
base.
yeah. If it's not on nitrate, it's not on nothing.
So if you feel that way, there's actually one theater today that still has nitrate. They show nitrate films.
Wow. And I bet they have quite the care process.
It's very regulated. Like, I was reading about those projectors. They have multiple backups and safeties that will, like, if it catches on fire,
sucks
there's
all
something
the oxygen
inside,
out of the room.
Well, there's something inside the projector that'll kind of extinguish it, and there's like a metal sheet there's only like a little slit that the fire could get out of.
That's interesting. What a niche thing to be an expert at.
Yeah, and they've got a film festival, the Nitrate Film Festival.
Cool.
That they do.
So does that mean people are still making film on nitrate?
No, it's from what
just
I
old
saw, it looked like it was all old stuff. Like, I saw one from the 40s, which maybe that was just a normal film that they're showing during this festival.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's just like old
Doesn't
films
all
or
have to be nitrate.
But yeah, there's your list of a few things that spontaneously combust, and I didn't have time to research trousers and rats. So apparently they tried to make rat bombs.
Yeah.
Like with a dead rat. They would try to, I think it was just an idea. I don't know if it ever actually happened, but they would try to make a bomb out of a dead rat just because it's like you can hide it in an alley or something.
Yeah.
And then also there was something, a bunch of farmers their pants were catching on fire while they were just out and about because of some chemical that they were using, and it was this whole thing.
That would be so
exploding
frustrating.
Trousers.
Oh, not again. Not again, Billy.
Oh, my britches caught fire. Back and have it. And so I think they've solved that problem.
I hope.
Since then.
That's why leather pants became in style.
That's why every time you see a farmer, he's just wearing black leather pants.
Exactly.
Wherever he goes. He knows. He's squeaking around through his field, squeaking up to his tractor.
That's very funny.
That's why a farmer can never sneak up on you.
Exactly. That's what I've always said. That's the punchline to my favorite joke. Why can't a farmer sneak up on you?
Because he's wearing his leather pants.
Get it? Because of combustion?
So there you go.
That reminds me of Stargate SG-1. Probably.
Because of leather pants. That reminds me of how Teal'c would grind his jaw. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
That was so distracting to me. Every time it would show him and he's not talking, his mouth
He's
is
just
closed,
like
but he's just like
a little nervous.
he's doing the thing. He like presses his teeth together, so his
It's
temple
his
like
temples
flexes.
yeah. He was
What
so
are you
strong he
doing?
had to work out every
I
muscle.
guess just doing his jaw muscles exercise.
I scrolled for a while looking for what John Noble played in SG-1. He must have just been like a one episode special way back when, because I couldn't find it. But I believe he was in there.
That's crazy. I'm gonna follow him on Instagram right now. Does he not have Instagram?
He's probably a cool guy. He strictly does weird things. That's his thing. But I mean, John, if you're listening, I'm a big fan.
He was up for the role of Happy in like the Marvel universe, but he said that's not weird enough.
Yeah, that's too
mainstream. That's gonna be a blockbuster. So
that's too normal. I
It's
only
not like
do
a normal
Fringe.
role. Yeah, I cannot find him on here, so
Yeah.
probably a fan page or something.
He's a cool guy. If
Yeah.
you're listening, I'm a big Fringe fan, big
Yeah.
Lord of the Rings fan,
Yeah.
and a big SG-1 fan. And
Boom, boom, boom.
I'm sure had I have watched any of the other 40 flicks that I've never heard of that you were also in, I would have been a fan.
Okay, so if he's listening,
Mhm.
we'll get him on sometime. If anyone's got any connections with him,
Yeah,
that'd be great.
that'd
That'd actually be so cool.
that would be a lot of fun.
That'd be so cool.
Can you tell us about Fringe? That's all. That would be my question.
Friend, I have one question for you today.
Your topic today will be
Fringe. Okay, that's all I got.
cool.
Spontaneous
That
combustion.
was pretty interesting, and it was riddled with fun facts about
Mm-hmm.
random things as well. I know more about pistachios because of
Pistachios.
your combustion topic.
Mhm. Transporting pistachios.
Yeah, German manuals.
Yeah.
All that.
German transportation. That's all I got.
Before I talk about mine,
Yeah.
if you're listening and you want to support the show, you can check out our Patreon account. You can give as little as you want or as much as you want, but we've got some categories. You can give like $1 a month, $2 a month. Buy us a coffee for
$3 a month.
our troubles.
$4 a month.
If you like how much we talk about
Need to go on.
John Noble, just go ahead and give us a monthly salary.
Yeah. You know, I was thinking about it this week, and it's kind of reverse pirating. So with pirating,
Uh-huh.
there's something that you normally have to pay for,
Yep.
but you consume that content for free.
Uh-huh.
This is something that you consume for free that you don't have to pay for unless you want to.
But you do anyway.
So if you would like to be an unpirate,
A reverse
a
pirate.
reverse pirate, you can do that.
We should make a new category on our Patreon for you reverse pirates out there.
You reverse pirates can join along. We've already got a good group of reverse pirates out there.
Yeah, we got a
Hey,
selection.
you know what? We should shout them out. Just
Yeah.
like not necessarily by name, but just like
To
we
all of
appreciate
yous.
them.
Yeah, it makes us really happy.
Okay, if you're not a reverse pirate, okay, I think that's it. Can we call them that?
Reverse pirates?
Yeah.
I think so. I think we kind of have
The
to.
reverse pirates, the people who support us on Patreon are the reverse pirates or unpirates.
Anti-pirates.
Okay, if you're not a reverse pirate, plug your ears real quick. Hey, all of you people that support us on Patreon, thank you so much.
Thanks.
It's very, very, very cool.
It makes us smile a lot.
It does. It's just knowing that you appreciate this podcast makes me happy, and it makes me excited to keep doing it.
Yeah.
So thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
You want to hear about Guam?
Can I pick another country or territory?
You sure can, but my topic will be a lot shorter.
Okay, tell me about Guam.
Okay, well, I don't know a lot about Guam, actually, but I do know this one story from the late 1800s. Do you know much about the capture of Guam? How the U.S. came to have Guam as a territory?
Nothing.
Good, because that's what my topic is about.
I know nothing about it.
Okay, I'm excited. This is an interesting story. And it might not be that long, but it's my podcast, so I can do what I want.
Boom!
My topic is the epic capture of Guam, an intense battle in which we got it at the end. The year is late 1800s. The specific year is the late 1800s. We're in the Spanish-American War, which, to be honest, I did not know anything about. Do you know much about the Spanish-American War?
I can guess between it was... That's a goof.
Yes!
I can guess who it was between.
Whom?
Take your dad out to lunch.
Oh,
I would love to.
that's so sweet.
Great. Okay.
Can I come? I'd come.
I don't think so.
Okay, that's
Well, it
fair.
doesn't say take
it
your
wasn't.
dad and podcast co-host out to lunch.
Okay.
I mean,
Forget it. No.
do you want to?
No, forget it.
Have you been to Chipotle yet?
I have twice.
Oh, dang.
Chipotle just opened in our town.
We're very excited.
It's a small town.
It's the talk of the town. Everybody knows about it.
The capture of Guam, Josiah.
Okay, while you
Spanish-
talk, I'm going to put this in my calendar.
Okay, good.
To talk to my dad. so I can take him out to lunch.
Spanish-American War. It's between Spain and the U.S. Did you see that coming?
I did.
Okay. The war is declared. I do have the specific year, 1898. So we're almost in the 1900s. I am finding my topics are in a sweet spot of like 30 years, from apparently this to 1908 or no 1914. Anyway,
Wait. The story of the lady who the
1885, right?
1914.
1914 was
No. I'm so sorry. 1914. Ah, jeez.
Okay, you
Jeez, guys.
you get the deets.
Yeah, that was the late 1800s. 1914.
Something happened there.
This is important.
Wait,
This
I
is
just
important.
talked about the Great Depression too. Yeah, I've got a 30-year window of. I don't talk about topics outside of that.
What happened in 1914?
I don't know. It sounds super familiar.
Oh, it was the fire from the fire that destroyed that theater. That destroyed
Fire.
millions of feet of
Oh,
nitrate
right.
film.
Thanks for being relevant.
Not a great memory, it turns out.
Hey, would you like to hear about Guam?
Yes, I would love to.
It's the largest island on the Marianas Island chain. It's been under Spanish control since 1668. So by the time the Spanish-American War happened, Spain has had control of it for hundreds of years. So they're pretty used to that, right?
Sure.
They talked a lot with Spain, back and forth, Guam and Spain, because it was a territory of Spain. But the last time they chatted was between Spain and the governor of Guam, April 14th, 1898. That date's going to come in handy.
1898.
April 14th.
April 14th.
Yeah. Keep track of that because it's going to be an important piece of info to have later in the story.
Okay.
So, the war and the Spanish-American War is declared in May of 1898. May. Are you seeing where
Are we going to get is this like a Christopher Nolan type of story?
They go back in time and deep into a dream.
No, because you said April, right? Which
Yeah.
is before they declared war.
The last time they talked. Yep. So,
So we're
I'm
going to
drawing
reference
out.
it again.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I'll explain it soon. Let's set up the story. We've got Henry Glass. He's a U.S. Navy guy.
I really like that name.
Henry
I
Glass.
don't know why. It just sounds really cool.
Henry Glass.
Henry Glass.
A man's man.
Henry Glass. A man who can
Captain.
rip a hoodie.
Henry Glass, the captain of the cruiser Charleston. The Charleston cruiser. Big ship. Big fighter
Known
ship.
for the dance.
Right. The ship is in Honolulu. Okay.
Okay.
And it's making its way out to a different place. It's headed somewhere. But when it's in Honolulu, it gets joined up by these 3 transport ships, these smaller ships called, and I don't know why they're called City, but it's City of Peking, City of Sydney, and Australia. Those are the names of the 3.
Oh, it's just named after different cities?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it's City of,
Interesting.
and then they kind of unique.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
like very specific. It's not named after a person named Sydney.
Right. It's the city.
The city.
The city. Do not mess that up.
Do not get this confused.
So joined by these 3 transport ships, and the transport ships bring a message to Henry Glass on the cruiser, the big cruiser.
They're like, stop, wait,
We have a message.
Mr. Glass.
We have a message. Played by, nope, not making another John Noble reference. And the message says, upon the receipt of this order, which is forwarded by the steamship City of Pekin to you, I have no idea if I'm saying that city right, to you at Honolulu, you will proceed with the Charleston and the City of Pekin in company to Manila, Philippine Islands.
So was he already going west?
I don't know where he was
Okay.
going,
Well,
but he gets this message and said, you're headed out to the Philippine Islands. That's where a lot of the fighting had been, and that's where they had just had a big victory against Spain.
Okay.
The U.S. did.
Okay.
And it says, on your way, you are hereby directed to stop at the Spanish island of Guam. You will use such force as may be necessary to capture the port of Guam, making prisoners of the governor and other officials and any armed force that may be there. You will also destroy any fortifications on said island and any Spanish naval vessels that may be there or in the immediate vicinity. These operations at the island of Guam should be very brief and should not occupy more than 1 or 2 days. Should you find any coal at the island of Guam, you will make such use of it as you consider desirable. It is left to your discretion whether or not you destroy it. From the island of Guam, proceed to Manila and report to Rear Admiral George Dewey for duty in the squadron under his command. So, they're hanging in Honolulu, not sure what the plan is. They get this message from the transport ships, handed down from commander, gives it to the captain, Henry Glass, and he says, all right, looks like we're invading Guam.
You're supposed to just go lay waste. Shouldn't take long. Head over to Manila.
Yeah, and the reason was, I think, well, this is going to show my lack of geographic awareness, but I think it was kind of on the way, so it made sense to take that territory.
Sure.
And then you've got like another staging ground, a place for whatever. Then you limit where the Spanish can go as easily. Anyway,
it's a tactical location.
Reason doesn't matter as much. The purpose is you are to go there, the cruiser and these transport ships. You're to capture Guam, and then you're to move on. So the sailors on the Charleston, they get very excited. They don't know a whole lot. So they all go into the ship's library. They're studying charts. They're studying geographies, histories, encyclopedias, all this Guam info, trying to get ready for this fight, right? The sailors on the transport ships, they don't know why they changed directions. So the transport ships are now following the cruiser. They didn't communicate. So the sailors on those ships, tensions are running high. They're like, what are we doing?
Where are we going?
Are we going to fight some impenetrable force? Are we going to go just do some random other thing? So their rumors are running rampant, basically. The next day, the only reason I include this part of the story is to say this word. The next day, the objectives were wigwagged to the transports. Do you know what wigwagging is?
I'm going to guess it's like... Oh, wait, so they're sailboats. Is that when you go, like, diagonally?
A wigwag, like a zigzag?
Yeah, because that's how sailboats go sometimes.
Wigwagging is simply flag signaling.
Oh.
So the cruiser communicated with the transport ships by waving flags that said, hey, here's where we're going. I have no idea how the communication works, but they wigwagged.
I know you can do it where different flags have different meanings, like different words, but then also different flags have different letters.
Oh, so they waved the going to attack flag, and then they waved the Guam flag.
And then they waved the please and thank you flag.
In my head, I know this is not the case, but in my head, they've just written their message on the flags, and they're just
some
waving
guy out
around.
standing on the
We're attacking Guam.
back of the ship. What does that say? I can't. He keeps waving it.
Important information was also included with the initial order. Okay, and this is setting up for this big battle of Guam. It had been made clear to the U.S. that there were man-of-wars in the San Luis Diapra port, which is Guam's big
like the jellyfish?
Man-of-wars?
Yeah.
Man, space, of, space, wars.
Pretty sure that's jellyfish.
Jellyfish. It's another name for warships.
Don't make fun of me. I'm looking it up right now.
Okay. Should I stop or should
Man of war? No, keep going.
Man of Wars?
Easy. One of the most deadly jellyfish.
That's what they're called?
Sorry, not jellyfish. Jelly. We call
Jelly.
them jellies now.
They're jellies. Because they're not fish, Josiah. Those are not fish.
Duh.
Fun fact that will be a lot more relevant to my story. Man of Wars is also a name for big Spanish warships.
Sorry, I'm just into extra facts tonight.
You kind of are. That's okay. Riddle them in there as you see fit. Basically, there was information saying, hey, there's going to be resistance. There's big warships that you're going to encounter at Guam. You're going to have to take them out in order to capture
These
Guam.
jellies get mad.
In addition to the Man of Wars, Guam they were told was also protected by a heavy battery of guns. It was strongly fortified. There are powerful coastal defenses. And apparently all of this had been verified by travelers, trusted travelers who had been to the island a couple years prior. So not super current,
Oh,
but
like when we were there.
last time we had been
Lots
to
of
Guam.
guns.
1896 was when they were there. So a couple years later,
Yeah.
they're saying, hey, here's what to expect. So the commander who passed this information down had all these meetings with all these people, and they're like, expect a fight. You can expect like 1,000 soldiers even ready to defend this island. So they started doing these serious training exercises, and that's when the sailors are like, what we're about to do is gonna be significant. It's gonna be a big deal. We're about to go into a big all-out brawl to take this territory, and then we're gonna just hope it works out. So they're doing these training exercise. The transports, from what I read, were like throwing boxes over their ships, and then the cruiser was shooting down the boxes.
Okay. Like midair.
I think in the water, maybe midair.
Pull. They throw the box.
Yeah, 100 guys on the ship with shotguns are just like, I got one. I think I hit one.
That was me. Okay, so they're probably just throwing it in the water.
Just target practice, basically.
Yep.
All these different types of exercise. And then there was other stuff with cloth. Didn't look into it much.
Who cares?
All I learned was they are getting ready for a fight. So do you want to get to the battle?
Yes.
Okay. June 20th.
2 months after the date I'm supposed to remember.
Yep.
2 months and 2 days.
And 1 month.
No, 2 months and 4 days. 6 days.
Yep. What? You got there.
April 14th, 1898.
Uh-huh. And 1 month after war had been declared.
May 20th.
Yep.
My dad's birthday.
Yep. Exactly. That's exactly what I was. That's why I picked this topic.
He was actually born in 1898.
Oh, cool. Henry Glass, June 20th, with the cruiser, with the 3 transports. They're looking intimidating. They're prepped. The sailors are nervous, but they're ready for a fight. They've been practicing.
I can feel the tension.
They pull in. They're ready for a fight. They arrive off the shore of Guam. They don't know what to expect.
Sweating
They've got their
bullets.
information. They're prepped for a battle of a lifetime. What they find is that the harbor itself is undefended. The man of wars that they were told would be there, instead of that, there was just one Japanese ship, and it was trading copra. Which, do you know what copra is? Here's another fun fact to riddle in.
Is it a very successful woman who's a talk show host?
Copra Quinfree. It is dried coconut kernels used for coconut oil.
Is it like they scrape out the meat and shred that and dry it?
I don't know.
Is it like what you think of when you use coconut as a topping?
I think it's the kernels.
I don't know what that means.
I don't either. But that's how they get coconut oil. Again, not a super important part of the story.
I latch on to things, I guess.
So all they find at the harbor is a Japanese ship getting some coconut oil.
Oh, hey.
Yeah. And so they're like, something's fishy.
Something's not right.
Yeah. They're ready for a fight, but the harbor is unprotected. On the beach, they see a large group of people just standing there watching them. And all those people are like, what's going on out there? And they're like, okay, so we've got a line of unarmed people just hanging out on the beach, and then we've got a Japanese copra vessel.
Uh-huh.
That's all they see. So they're like, well, there's the fortress right there. We need to take down the fortress. That's part of our command. So they fire 13 rounds from their cannons at the fortress, and they're like, we don't know what to expect. This is a weird situation so far, but we've got our orders. We know what's coming. We know the fight we're in for. We better get started. So they fire 13 rounds at the fortress. They miss every single shot. Henry Glass not doing great
Should
things.
have done more box training.
Yep. The fortress is totally undamaged. So, so the fortress is fine.
No need to fight back.
And they don't. The fortress does not return fire or anything. At this point, they're thinking, what is going on? We've got people on the beach. We've got an undefended harbor. And the fortress that we just attacked poorly is not
They
retaliating.
have some kind of force field similar to what they would have in SG-1.
Yeah,
Stargate
exactly.
SG-1.
Similar to something that John Noble himself would have created. Here's we're reaching the climax of this story. We're reaching the reason that I chose this story. So, cruiser's just hanging out. It's just sitting there.
By this point, they're not so nervous anymore.
They're trying to decide what to do. They're unsure of what's happening. They just attacked an island, a Spanish island, and didn't return fire. Bunch of unarmed people on the beach. All of a sudden, some of the people on the beach are running around. They grab a small boat from a merchant. A couple of the guys jump in, a translator, a guy from the Navy Corps, and the captain of the port all jump in this boat. And they go sailing as fast as they can straight at the cruiser, straight towards Henry Glass. So they're like, what is happening? What are we going to do? They reach the ship. They get permission to come aboard the ship. So that these Spanish soldiers are now on the cruiser. They're now on the Charleston. And they're panicked. The guy,
I would be.
the one guy who's panicked, he looks at him and he says, in his language, something along the lines of, "You guys, I'm really sorry. We saw your salute, but we don't have any gunpowder. Can we borrow some of your gunpowder and we'll go back, load it up in the fortress, and we'll salute you back."
Oh,
Here's the twist of this story.
a little cultural confusion.
Well, turns out Spain forgot to tell Guam. They failed to tell Guam that they were at war with the U.S. So they weren't ready or prepared at all. They didn't have hardly any working weapons, didn't have any gunpowder. And so when the U.S. came and fired the shots at the fort that just so happened to miss, the people of Guam were like, they're saluting us. They're doing a U.S. salute. And then they panicked because they were like, we don't have any weapons.
Oh, no, we're such bad hosts.
Yeah, we don't have any weapons to salute back. So they jump on a boat. They paddle as fast as they can out to the cruiser that just attacked their island. They get onto the cruiser and they're like, "You guys,
so sorry.
We are so sorry." The sources I said literally said they were like, "How's your crew? Are you guys doing good? Thanks
Do you
for
need
coming."
anything, or-
Yeah. So we saw your salute. Thank you guys. Really fun. We were gonna salute back. I sent the captain of the port saw the salute and sent to inland, like 6 miles inland. And they were like, get a message to them. See if we've got any firepower. We need to salute these guys back. And so they had the misfortune of being told, after going through all this trouble, to offer a salute back to the U.S. Henry Glass is kind of sitting, he's rubbing his forehead, and he's like, "Hey guys, I'm really sorry to be the one to tell you this, but we're at war, and you're our enemies, and you're prisoners of war now.
I'm so sorry.
You have to." So they literally were like, "You can't leave our ship. Like, you're coming with us."
That was a lot easier than I thought it would be.
Yeah. And so they were like, "Well, please let us go back and tell our governor that apparently we're under attack and our countries are at war. If
Like,
could
give us
you
a chance?"
Yeah, would you let him know, and then he can send word and we can make some plans." Henry Glass is like, "Yeah, sure, I don't care. You go back, talk to your governor. It's getting late. We'll meet in the morning." So they talk to the governor. The guy's name is Juan Marina. Next morning, the U.S. send him a letter that says, "Hey, you have to surrender your whole island to us right now. Sorry, there's been some miscommunication between you and your homeland, your country, but we need this island. You have 30 minutes to surrender, or else
man.
we'll attack. And keep in mind, we are armed with we've got some pretty good ships here that can just take you out. We don't, accuracy is not super high, but we've got a lot of bullets. So they say, you've got 30 minutes. Juan Marina responds with a letter 29 minutes later. He's really pushing his luck.
That's what I would do, honestly. Like, why waste?
Just sit there
If you have
yeah,
a timeout, you got to use it.
exactly. He really, really used it. He almost, had his whole island attacked because he was almost late with this letter, but he got it with 1 minute to spare.
I think he planned it well.
Yeah, he did. He's a good
He didn't.
manager of
He
time.
pushed it just as far as he needed to.
He wanted to make the U.S. nervous,
Oh,
but still surrender.
Psychological tactic.
Exactly.
Maybe?
And his letter said, being without defenses of any kind and without means for meeting the present situation, I am under the sad necessity of being unable to resist such superior forces and regretfully accede to your demands. At the same time, protesting against this act of violence when I have received no information from my government to the effect that Spain is in war with your nations. And with that, Josiah, Guam fell, and the U.S. gained its first territory in the Pacific.
Wait, first ever or first in the Pacific?
In the Pacific. Maybe
Wow.
ever. I don't know. I
One
don't
of the
know.
first.
One of the first.
That's very interesting.
Later that day, the few soldiers that were on Guam, they were all taken as prisoners of war, along with the governor, who was crying.
Yeah.
Can you imagine
It'd be so like maddening. Like I'd be so angry. Like they didn't tell you to even get ready. You're like I had zero possibility of even
like we live in
fighting
Montana.
back.
What if Canada just showed up and was like, "Hey, we're at war and Montana's ours,"
I was like,
and just no one told us?
I don't think so.
I did not see that on TikTok.
Nobody told me. Actually, that's a little bit different because Montana is thoroughly armed.
Yeah.
But yeah.
They found out instead of 1,000 soldiers, there were 54, and most of their weapons didn't work. The U.S. was they were ordered to destroy the military operation, so destroy the whole fort. But they went onto the island that was now theirs. They went and checked it out, and they said it was in so much disrepair that it wasn't worth wasting ammunition on.
That's sad.
And the cannons, this was kind of bitter irony. The cannons that they had 4 cannons on the whole fort. They were not safe enough to use for the salute that the guys had tried to borrow powder from the U.S. to use. So
they didn't even use it.
Even if their plan had worked and they had let them borrow some stuff to do the salute, their weapons didn't even work well enough to make that happen. So the U.S. now owned Guam, and they just kind of left. They took all of the soldiers, the governor, everyone in charge of Guam, poor guys had no idea they were even at war, and they said, we know you had no idea about this, but we need you to get it on our ship, and you're going with us off to the next place until the war ends. Yeah. And so they raised the U.S. flag in the fort that they never even destroyed, and the Charleston did an official salute as they...
so that's an actual thing?
Salute.
Where you fire into just a clearing or something?
I don't know the specifics.
Okay.
I would assume it's just like firing off in the distance, like, hey, we're here.
Yeah.
Salute you. You know we're not attacking.
Oh, so maybe the first 13 or 14 you said that they shot, maybe just hit the water, like didn't even touch land or something.
Yeah, I think they just actually missed every single shot.
Completely the island.
Which is hilarious because they were ready for a battle. So if they had been facing the forces they were expecting, the U.S. would have been in some trouble,
Probably.
I think.
Maybe Guam might not be a U.S. territory today.
Exactly. If only Spain had just let Guam know, it could have been very different.
Okay, so moral of the story, communicate.
Exactly. That's exactly why I picked this topic. I wanted to stress the importance of communication habits. So the transports There were bands on all of the transports. They all got out on the deck and played the Star-Spangled Banner, and they all rode off. It was
It's very
one
patriotic.
of the greatest bloodless battles in which,
Yeah, nobody got hurt.
the U.S. won. Well,
I mean, physically.
yeah, the mayor had the governor had his feelings hurt.
Of course.
He was crying a lot.
Of course.
And I think I don't know if they took his wife. I read something that he was like
Well, like they
consoling his wife.
separated them.
Yeah.
Like she stayed and he had to go or something.
Can you imagine a world where there's so little communication that kind of very important thing can happen?
Yeah,
I'm
I
pretty
guess this
happy.
Hold on. Why was I supposed to remember April 14th, 1989?
It was important because that was the last time,
1898.
1898 in
switched
May. That was the last time that Spain talked to Guam.
Oh.
And war was declared against Spain
a month after.
a month later. So it was important because
Oh.
it just showed that there was no word from Spain.
Okay. That is pretty wild.
Yep.
You can learn. There's a lesson in. There's a marriage lesson for you.
Somewhere. Just
About
communicate.
communication.
Just communicate and your territory won't be taken
by
another.
Okay, so Guam,
Uh-huh.
go to Japan,
Mm-hmm.
basically straight south,
Mm-hmm.
and then when you're in the Philippines, go straight east.
Yeah.
And where those two meet is Guam,
Oh, interesting.
north of Australia and Papua New Guinea.
Wow. And we still have Guam today. It is a U.S.
do.
territory because of this one great fight.
Oh, so this is where the Marianas Trench is? I'm assuming the Marianas Islands.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that sounds right. Sounds good to me.
Okay. Well,
That's my topic. That's all I have.
I'd like to go to. Oh yeah, it's right off the coast of Guam, basically.
I think
like
I'd go to Guam.
A couple hundred miles away. Cool. I think if I were to go to Guam, I would like to do a little history tour. See
the
where
fort.
the fort was.
Yeah. Yeah, it'd be fun.
Be interesting to see if I'm sure there's stories from people like native people who have lived there. Their families have
Right.
lived there for a long time, and see like kind of the ripple effects of that.
Could you imagine how mad they would be at their country?
Yeah, I did. Well, they speak English because it's an American colony. Do
It
you
is
know,
now.
Yeah, I wonder if there's still a lot of Spanish speakers. Do you know how
Oh,
long it
I'm
was a
sure.
Spanish territory for?
200 years.
Oh wow.
So one of the people that hustled into the small boat
Yeah.
to go get
Yep.
supplies for the salute was a translator.
Okay.
So I think it's safe to assume that they were.
It was just
Well, I guess
probably mostly
maybe
Spanish
not. It
speaking.
wasn't
or some other language.
because there was a local native people on that island
Sure.
that
Before.
Spain took over.
Yeah.
So it could have been possible that they had. I forget the name. It's Kamar. I don't remember. There's a
Kamar
name for the
Usman.
native people there. But they might speak another language. I'm sure there's a lot of Spanish speakers there.
Probably. I bet there's some today, some Spanish speakers and English speakers, and
Yeah.
if there's a native language. Okay, Guam.
Yeah, the bloodless capture of Guam.
Quite the rich history.
One of the biggest misunderstandings in war.
You gotta feel bad. I honestly, it kind of like appeals to your sense of justice. You're like, they didn't even have a chance.
Yeah. They didn't.
Like you almost want like, okay, we'll come, but you wanted America to be like, okay, we'll come back in 2 weeks
Yeah, you guys arm yourselves up.
or like a month.
We're not going to bully you. Yeah.
Well, I mean, made it easy for them, so they're like, okay, one less thing to think about.
Yep. Glad this
Taking
worked out, you
Guam.
guys. We're going to move on.
That's
The
crazy. War is just crazy.
Yeah, the war was 10 weeks. It ended in August.
The Spanish-American War.
So, I can't imagine the Guam prisoners of war were
Probably, yeah.
held prisoner for all that long.
Yeah.
My guess is they were probably returned.
Yeah.
Although a different guy was elected governor.
Okay.
So
Okay.
there's
All
that
right.
piece of information.
Another extra tidbit for me.
Yep. There you go.
Cool.
The great capture of Guam.
I appreciate that storytelling.
Yeah. I
It's a
know you've
journey.
always wondered how the U.S. got Guam.
I have
Yeah.
always.
I've-
People say that about me.
Josiah,
He never
is
stops
he the
talking
one
about
that
it.
always wonders about Guam?
Yeah, he's the one that he's never wearing a shirt. It seems like, and most of the time he's he's asking people if they know how we got Guam.
Does anyone know? Just
Can anyone tell me?
what happened in
This is
Guam?
me out in the rain on my knees, shouting to the heavens.
Okay.
Okay, I'm
Two
going to give
pretty-
a quick recap.
Yeah. Yes, please do.
Here's why people should vote for me.
Uh-huh.
I talked about spontaneous combustion, and people can spontaneously combust.
Interesting.
Well, it depends who you ask. Some people say they can, some people say they can't.
I say they can. I have to believe they can.
I have to. If John Noble is involved, you know. Lots of things can spontaneously combust.
Uh-huh.
And it's very interesting that happens. And I wish it's now something that I can add to my bucket list to see happen. And I want people to be aware of it. It's more of an awareness topic.
You're raising spontaneous combustion awareness.
I am. I actually have bracelets if you want
Nice.
one.
And a giant check made out to science.
A giant check made out to spontaneous combustion awareness .org.
Your newest organization.
Yeah.
If you become a patron, we will donate
A reverse pirate.
85% of our earnings
The
to.
spontaneous combustion awareness.
Yep.
We'll just take out a billboard.
Exactly. Are you aware? Things do this.
Things can explode a little bit, so
Keep that
just
in mind,
putting that out
world.
there.
Watch your things. Hide your stuff.
Watch your things and hide your stuff. Brought to you by Learn Me Something.
Learn me something.
I'd love to get
The
a billboard
podcast. Yeah, someday.
for this podcast.
Someday. Agreed.
Okay, what do you got? Why should people vote for you?
I gave you a piece of American history, and one that is probably not as known.
I can hear the fife music playing right now.
It was in the year 1898. General Custard Rohan. And it's very interesting. And one of probably the few instances in the history of war that I can think of where a territory was traded without any form of bloodshed.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm sure surrender happened a lot, but probably not before a good amount of bloodshed before they gave up and surrendered. This was no bloodshed, just straight to surrender.
Nothing we could do.
Yeah, literally a letter saying, "Hey, there's nothing we can do.
Sorry about that.
You guys brought a ship, and we've got coconut kernels."
Kernels, whatever the heck that is.
And I think that's interesting, and I think it'll come in handy at trivia night sometime.
You know what? I have an idea. If
Uh-huh.
that happens again,
Yeah.
if we are to go to war with Spain again
Uh-huh.
and they try to take Guam back,
Yep.
I say we grab all the coconuts we can find.
That'll
Stack them,
teach 'em.
all the coconut kernels we can find, stack them in a big pile
Whatever they look
all around the island.
like. Let them spontaneously combust.
Exactly.
Burn the island to the ground.
Burn the island to a crisp.
If we can't have it, no one can.
No one can. We're out of here. Something to think about.
Scorched earth, Guam style. something. And whatever a coconut kernel looks like. I kind of just assumed it was like the outer shell.
The husk. I know the white part's
You
called
know
the
the
meat.
name of the outer shell? That's the worst.
I'm pretty sure coconut husk, and the inside's called the meat, and then the water is called the water. I believe the lifeblood.
The lifeblood.
The lifeblood.
The Space Force.
That sounds like actually. Hold on, I might start a coconut water company called.
Lifeblood?
Yeah, it's like sort of like a liquid death situation.
Oh, okay.
But so it's like really heavy metal branding for
Yep.
something that is not heavy metal.
Your spokesman can be. Wow. Okay.
John Noble.
I'm going one more nerdy rabbit trail. Can be Katara or from Avatar.
Uh huh.
She could be a blood bender, lifeblood bender.
Excellent. Excellent.
There you have it.
Okay. If you would like to vote, then you can go to one of our Learn Me Something social media accounts.
Yep. At Learn Podcast.
I just stick with Instagram if I were you.
It's your
And,
safest bet. We don't touch the other ones.
Honestly, I've not looked at it in a while.
Yeah.
Maybe we
What if
just-
one of them is blown up and we just don't know?
Maybe.
You've been TikToking for us lately.
A little bit.
You could jump on our
Keep an eye out.
TikTok if you're
Yeah.
interested.
Yep, there's a link. You can find it there. Or in the show notes, you can find a link.
Yep. So if
And
you're
vote-
listening,
Vote for whoever will have to do the punishment. And the punishment for this week is, and by week I mean episode.
do you remember?
No.
I don't either.
I always, almost every single episode, I forget what it is until either you say it or right before I say it.
Ooh, I remember.
Okay.
Uh,
See, this is how it
Yeah,
goes.
exactly.
I need to
'Cause
write it down.
We talk about it right before. We really should get a whiteboard and just punishment of episode. The punishment of this episode is that the loser for 24
I
hours.
still don't remember.
Really?
Oh, yes. Okay, now I do.
Okay. For 24 hours, they are not allowed to step foot into their own bathroom.
So if you have a bathroom in the place that you live, you cannot go in it for 24 hours.
Yep.
You got to brush your teeth in the kitchen sink. You got to go to the bathroom in a friend's bathroom.
Yep.
Or your neighbor's bathroom.
If you wake up in the middle of the night having to go,
Got to find a bush.
that stinks for you. And I live in an alley.
You do live in an alley.
This could be an arrestable offense.
That might be a culturally enriching experience for you. That's something you've never done before.
Well, I don't intend on losing.
Okay.
Guam has my back.
Okay. And John Noble has mine.
John Noble is the man. The man in it. We should just title this episode John Noble. Forget the whole verses thing.
John Noble, please be on our podcast.
I'm going to make a dangerous assumption here that this is the most anyone has ever discussed John Noble on a podcast. I'm just going to say it. I know it's...
I highly doubt that. Do you think he's ever been on a podcast?
There might be a fringe...
I think there's probably a fringe podcast where they have a whole show about him.
But are they talking about him or are they talking about the show? They might mention him a couple times, but we've been pretty specifically focused on him as a character.
If we're gonna, I would make a bet on this.
Okay.
That
sounds fun.
we are not the podcast to talk about John Noble the most. Okay, I'm searching John Noble on Apple Podcasts right now. This is a great opportunity while it's loading to say that if you have not rated and reviewed this podcast, you can do so on both Spotify and Apple Podcasts.
Yes, please. And we have a new one. I just saw the other day. Here, I'll pull it up. You pull up
A
John
written
Noble.
one?
Yeah.
Oh, heck yeah.
Yeah.
They're my favorite.
From a Laughing Chuck, titled "Long Live the Rebellion." 5 stars. He says, or
reference
she.
to last episode with the self-surgery.
Long live the
No.
rebellion.
Because was that part of my
No,
my
that-
Russia speech?
That was.
It was Hail the Motherland.
That was Hail the Motherland. I don't remember Long Live the.
Let's see if it's in the.
It says, great show. Really enjoyed listening and am always excited to see the new one.
Woo! Give it up for this guy. or
Thank
girl.
you, Laughing Chuck.
Love
That's
that.
awesome.
That's very
we
encouraging.
love reviews.
Yeah.
Long Live the Rebellion. I remember us joking. We laughed about that a lot, but I don't remember the episode.
Long Live the Rebellion. Does it have to do with Pepsi's Army or Standing in Line?
It's something more recent, I think.
Okay.
Maybe it was Standing in Line. Maybe.
I just remember that's probably the most I laughed. I was talking about roundabouts for some reason. Okay. Also, if this is not clear by now, I have a horrible memory.
I'm kind of starting to realize I do too. We were laughing the other day because we haven't written anything down as far as like who won what and which episodes were, which episodes each one, who did which punishment and all the punishments we've done. So we tried to remember all the punishments we've done, but there's too many. I can only remember a few of the main ones now.
We could go through if we need to, but yeah. So if you would like to rate and review, we will thoroughly appreciate it. You can be
Thoroughly.
It's not quite a reverse pirate, but you can do what you got to do if you want to do it. Okay. I think that's all for this episode.
That's all I got.
Next one will be coming at you live
Yeah.
with a hopefully more than 2 people studio audience. And I think it'll be really fun.
I'm very excited. And if you're listening and you're in the area, again, shoot us a message on Instagram because that's where we go.
Yeah, contact
or
us
if you
somehow.
know us, just get in contact with us.
You know what? If you're an email person, learnmesomething@gmail.com.
Yeah.
We got that too.
We'll see if one of us checks that. Do you
I
check it?
Yeah, every once in a while, yeah.
Okay,
I'll
good.
see it.
You're in charge of
Yeah.
things.
Yeah.
Officially. All right. That's all I got until our live episode, which is going to be
Really
a ton of fun.
You should come.
And I'm
pressure.
hoping, if we're lucky, Larry may just come.
Play us out.
Larry, play us out. And maybe live, too. In a couple weeks if you're free.